joining us in the living room. So honestly, today I thought I was headed in one direction. And the Most High just threw me a detour. We're going to talk about enemies today. The acknowledgement of enemies, who, not trusting the enemies, and I don't want to yap too much. I just want to, just kind of go into it. But it's just crazy how, here it is. I thought I was going in one direction, and just starting from yesterday, just some of the, scripts and things like that were, Most High was kind of revealing to me or putting them in my spirit. And then I woke up earlier today. I woke up around 5:45, and a whole nother direction was given to me, and I'm sitting there like all of the texts that were given to me yesterday. I don't know, just said, whoosh, and he just gave me a whole slew of other things, and I'm like, whoa! And I read this one scripture, and it just kind of, I don't know, it just threw me for a loop. So I will say that these are those hard sayings that are spoken of in the scripts. And I know a lot of our people, don't want to hear these things. I mean, there's some of this stuff that was coming out back in the day when we were still in Christianity, and the Most High, had us kind of, speaking along the lines of keeping Torah and things of that nature, and what would come of keeping His statutes and commandments. And even back then, we could see what the scriptures were saying about, falling away and all of these things. But, a lot of what we're about to speak about, I mean, it hits when I say hits very close to home, it hits very, very close to home. And I can see why the texts talk about people no longer enduring sound doctrine, not justifying that, but I can see why the text speaks that, why Paul says that in Timothy, that people will no longer endure sound doctrine, because again, things no longer fit how you want them to fit or whatever. So we're just going to go into it. So again, speaking about enemies, recognizing enemies, not trusting the enemies, the whole spiel. So initially it was, I wrote this down. We know we have enemies of the nations, right? Matthew 24 verse 9. Matthew 24 verse 9. And this is of course signs of the end of the age. Yahweh Mashiach says, then they will deliver you up to tribulation, put you to death, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. All nations, all nations, all nations. And it's crazy. I think I've mentioned this before. I remember back in the day, my brother, had a, was having a pretty bad week at work. And, where he works, he deals with a lot of corporate stuff. And like I said, he was having a bad week, and I had, gone to visit him, and we were talking about it, and he was so emotional about what was going on. And he said, and of course, this is way before I knew anything about us being Yashara'al or whatever the case may be. But he says to me, he's like, man, bro, he's like, I don't get it, man. Why does everybody hate us, man? Like, wow, like, what do we do to people? Like, why does everybody hate us? Why does everybody hate us? And, I remember being stumped. I don't remember answering him already. I was just so caught up in his emotion behind it, but he kept asking that question. I remember him asking that question for like 2 days straight. Why does everybody hate us? Why does everybody hate us? And his then girlfriend at the time, who's now his wife, she had said, and she's of another nation. And she said to him at that time, well, in our country, and she said in a lot of other countries, the only thing that's shown of, so-called black people are everything negative. That's all that's portrayed on TV. That's all that's portrayed on the radio, whatever publication, whatever it is, that's all that is shown about so-called black people, right? And this is why, this is her version. This is why they hate you. This is not whatever. But of course, we now know that's not the case. You hate it because, again, the Most High chose you, and we're gonna read it. We're gonna read that. That's not just me saying that. We're gonna read that, and this comes from the mouth of Mashiach. But again, we have our known enemies, right? Known enemies of the nations. This is what Mashiach was alluding to. He says, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. So it's not for naught. It's not for naught. When Psalm 83 talks about, because they hate the Most High, you know what I'm saying? Those that hate him, come against his family, his chosen, his people. So knowing that we have known enemies in all of the nations, of course we have to acknowledge, we have to recognize who these enemies are, not putting all your trust in your enemies, right? Because we can read if you read in the book of Maccabees, I think it's in First Maccabees, I think it's chapter 7. You can read in chapter 7, 12, and I believe 16 on your own time, because we would read it would literally take most of a lot of the time up, so I don't want to read it. But I think yes, First Maccabees 7, 12, and 16, and maybe some in between that too. But if you just read through it, you will see how there were instances where Yashara'al will kind of put their guard down a little bit, and and trust their enemies. Their enemies will kind of come to them in a deceptive way, and Yashara'al, people of Yashara'al will put their guard down a little bit, and once we put our guard down and start trusting our enemy, then all of a sudden the enemy turns on you. They'll come peaceably to you, this and that, whatever, and then all of a sudden, boom, when your guard is down, or you're thinking everything is good, that's when that enemy turns the tide on you. So again, just being aware, right? Just being discerning, right? There's something I used to always tell my children, and we used to tell each other in the streets all the time, yo, man, keep your head on the swivel. Keep your head on the swivel. Like, don't just be, that gullible, naive cat, out here just believing anything anybody says, or trusting anyone, or just keep your head on the swivel. Take every word with a grain of salt. I'm not saying, to have walls up so high that this, I mean, the text talks about, guarding your heart, right? Guarding your heart with all diligence, because out of it flows the issues of life. So yeah, you got to do that. But not everyone close to you is a friend. When it comes to, I think Mashiach even said it concerning the false prophets and things like that, or whatever. And we can apply that to what we're talking about now. He says, by their fruit you'll know them, right? By their fruit you'll know them. So not everybody walking with you or dealing with you or comes peaceably to you this now is a friend. And like I said, you can read First Maccabees chapter 7, 12, I think it's 16, and you can see again where the enemies will turn tide when we let our guard down and let them in. But to go further, again, those are known enemies of the nations, because again, they hate the Most High. They hate the Most High. They gonna hate you too. The Most High chose us. So they gonna hate you too. But the next question is, could it be? Could it be? I'm going to leave it there for right now, but could it be? And I'm going to read this next script in Sirach chapter 12. And in reading this many times before, I'm just thinking it's an outside enemy, it's a foreign enemy, or whatever the case may be. And this is where it gets dicey. This is where, you know, people are going to be like, you know, this is where it really starts to hit home. It starts right here. And like I said, I read this script several times thinking it was just a foreign enemy, but the wording was hitting me. And this is why I like to read the text very slowly. And again, we know it's the Spirit that's going to reveal. The Most High is revealing all things. Again, we can read the script or whatever and not get what it's trying to say. And then when the Most High is ready for you to receive it, you receive it. And today was one of those days. But anyway, like I said before, I thought it was just speaking about foreign enemies. But here we go. Sirach 12, 10 through 18. And again, family, you know how we do. We're in the living room. We're on the couch. You know, I mean, I'm physically on the couch, and wherever you are, virtual, we're just having a discussion. Again, like I said, I don't teach as if I'm bringing forth doctrine or anything like that. I'm not saying everything I'm saying is right, such and such. You do your own due diligence. Read scripts. You know, meditate, pray, whatever you do. Just the understanding it's been given to me. And we just, you know, we rapid taste. We discuss. I don't call it debating. We don't debate. I don't get down with debating. I can't stand it. No arguing this now, whatever. You know, we all the same people hopefully trying to reach the same goal as far as passing up under that rod to get to the kingdom. So we just learning. We're just learning. So again, could it be? Sirach chapter 12, 10 through 18. Starting at verse 10. First thing, never, never, never trust your enemy. Never trust your enemy. For like as iron rusts, so is his wickedness. Though he humbles himself and goes crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And you shall be unto him as if you had wiped a looking glass. Okay, look and check the wording now. And you shall be unto him as if you had wiped a looking glass, and you shall know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away. Okay, just let that marinate. Verse 12. Set him not by you, unless when he has overthrown you, he stand up in your place. Never let him sit at your right hand, unless he seeks to take your seat. And you at the last, remember my words. Okay, remember that line right there, because we're going to hear it again. We're going to hear that again. Just remember that line. Remember my words. And you at the last, remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Verse 13. Who will pity a charmer? Now check this out. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come near wild beasts? So we know what that's saying, right? Okay, you see the charmer puts himself in harm's way, right? We know the Indian cats, where they play the little flute, boom, boom, boom. We see the cobra rising up, dancing, da 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 da, boom, boom, boom. You know, but if that cat get bit, like, you pity him? No, man, you tempting the Most High. You put yourself in that position, right? So it says, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with the serpent, or any such as come near wild beasts? Like, if they get jacked up, why are you pitying them? They put themselves in that position, right? So the same thing. If you're putting yourself in a position to get got, it's on you. That's basically what it's saying. So, okay, so again, just taking heed. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with the serpent, or any such as come near wild beasts? Okay, so check it closely. Verse 14. So one that goes to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, hint, hint, who will pity? Okay, first question I'm asked. Who is a sinner? Who would be a sinner? Don't all answer at once. Who would be a sinner? What is
One of
sin,
your
right?
own nation. We're the only ones with the covenant.
There it is. First John what? 3 and 4. Sin is the what? Transgression of the what? Law, the instructions, the Torah. So says 14. So one that goes to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? So now we're starting to unravel who this enemy is that's being talked about. Okay? Again, we already know, we have known enemies. We know the nations and things like that. There are enemies, right? I mean, the most Mashiach used the word hate. You would be hated by all nations. But here in the Sirach, like I said, I thought, honestly, to be honest, perfectly honest with you, I thought every time I read it, it was talking about, outside the nations. But it just hit me today, verse 14. So one that goes to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? 15. For a while he will abide with you, but if you begin to fall, he will not tarry. Verse 16. An enemy speaks sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagines how to throw you into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he finds opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity comes upon you, you shall find him there first. And though he pretends to help you, yet shall he undermine you. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. Okay, so that verse 14 is what got me, because letting you know, a sinner. A sinner is not just anybody. Sin is one who's had the law and transgressed the law. And again, according to Psalm 147, verses 19 and 20, okay, it says he shows his word unto Jacob, right? His statutes, I think it says his statutes and commandments unto Yashara'al. It says he has not dealt so with any other nation, and as for his statutes and judgments, they have not known them. That's what it says. So the only people who sin or who are in iniquity is Yashara'al, because Yashara'al are the only ones who've had the law. So when this is talking about, we read verse 13, who will pity a charmer is bitten with a serpent? It says, we know this is someone who puts themselves, in a position to get got. And then it starts talking about a sinner. So this enemy is someone within Yashara'al. And when we say within Yashara'al, we're not talking about, well, we could be actually, because we're gonna go further into who this enemy actually is, right? If you're walking side by side, you're doing the things of the Most High, and keeping the law, statutes, commandments, you truly loving on your brethren. We know, those two can walk together. But it's the ones who, well, I don't want to go ahead. I don't want to get ahead of myself. We're gonna get into it. But this is going to hit home, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. But again, that verse 14 is what got me. And I'm like, man, because like I said, I was going in a completely different direction. I was thinking about foreign enemies and this and that, whatever. I wasn't thinking about within. I honestly wasn't. I mean, I already know that, but I wasn't going there. But this just, Most High just detoured me. So we're talking about those within, right? So it said, could it be? Then it says enemy question mark. Enemies within? Enemies within. Now let's go to this text, this letter, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Like I said, it gets real dicey, and and I know there's a lot of I don't want to say opinion or a lot of thought concerning this right here.
All right, real quick. Um, the book Sirach was written during a time where a lot of us had turned Greek. Let me just say it that way.
Khan, exactly right. So we know, because we know what's that in First Maccabees chapter 1, right? Talks about how the wicked Israelites were trying to coerce the people, right? Wicked Israelites were trying to coerce the people into, conforming to the ways of the Greeks, right? And we know even now. So back then, so even now, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, because just like the text says, there's a time coming. Well, the time is where they will no longer endure sound doctrine, right? So again, it's like like Danny said, that time of Sirach is a time where under Greek rule, you had wicked Yashara'al that were turning the people away, and that's basically where we're going with it, right? We know there are wicked amongst our people. When it talks about enemies, it's talking about those amongst our people who rebel. That's basically where we're going with it. Who have rebelled, and the text calls them enemies. Okay, that could be family, that could be friends, that could be. The text calls them enemies. These are not my words. This is what the text says, and that's why again it gets dicey. This is why because we have heartstrings and all of these things. I get it, but if we let these things get in the way of the walk, it's going to jack you up, right? Just like it says. So the one that goes to a sinner and is what? Defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? Okay, so we talk about sinners. One who is what? Transgressing the instruction. One who is transgressing the instruction. And again, it started with never trust your enemy. So it's linking the two. So we're no longer talking about the foreign enemies. We already know that. Okay, this is recognizing who those enemies are, and again, it's the sinner, the transgressor of the law, of the instructions, those within Yashara'al. So 2 Thessalonians 2. Let me go there. And like I said, I'm going to just read slow. I'm just going to read slow. And I know that, like I said, there's many thoughts on this. There's many thoughts on this text. But just reading slow, and then, like I said, line upon line, precept upon precept, which we're gonna hit a few texts, to kind of, go along with this. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, I'm going to start the first verse. And it talks about the man of lawlessness, right? The man of lawlessness. Now, again, just reading that word lawlessness, initially I'm thinking, okay, this got to be, foreigner, right? It's got to be someone not of Yashara'al, right? That's what I was thinking. This word lawlessness, but then I saw it somewhere else, and it let me know, nope, ain't got to do. It's still within Yashara'al, still, and we're going to get there. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, starting at the first verse. Now concerning the coming of our Adonai, Yahushua Mashiach, and our being gathered together to him, we ask you, brothers, not to be quickly shaken in mind or alarmed, either by a spirit or a spoken word, or a letter seeming to be from us, to the effect that the day of Yah has come. Let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first. Okay? So what are they rebelling against? Okay? They're rebelling against something. Right? That day will not come unless the rebellion comes first and the man of lawlessness is revealed. Okay? So there's a rebellion. Okay? And okay, now.
Nah, I'm just gonna say what you about to say, and there's a man that's living a life of lawlessness that's leading this rebellion. And just like you said, what are they rebelling against? They're rebelling against the instructions of the Most High, which which goes back to Ezekiel 20, whenever he brings us into the wilderness and purging out the rebels.
So again, even though it says, and again, people get tripped up by the man part, the singular thing, right? They get tripped up by the man part, but it's not just a man. It says man, but it's not just one man. Remember, Yashara'al was known as what? One man. He'll say Ephraim. He'll say Jacob. Right, son of. Right, exactly. He'll say Yashara'al. Right, and we're talking about whole nation. Right, I remember Danny alluding to this past Sunday, and each tribe basically was a nation. Each tribe was a nation, but it was under that son, Reuben or Simeon or Levi or Judah, that one man, and even Yashara'al again is known as what? One man. Most High would allude to him as one man: Jacob, Yashara'al, Ephraim. Right? So again, you can't just get caught up in, even though it says man of law, you can't just get caught up and say, oh, this is a singular person. Okay? So again, there's a rebellion that comes first. And just like Yashara'al alluded to, Ezekiel 20, starting at verse 33, he says he's the Most High, when he pleads with us face to face, he's casting out the what? Rebels. Rebels. All right. So unless the rebellion comes first and the man of lawlessness is revealed. So there's a rebellion coming first. There's going to be a transgression of the law, right? Transgressors of the law. And these rebels are going to come forth. You're going to know who's with you and who ain't, basically. Right, is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself against every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of the Most High, proclaiming himself to be the Most High. We know this text well. Do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things? And you know what is restraining him now, so that he may be revealed in his time. And then, even before I go further, we link this man of lawlessness or son of perdition or whatever to what? Antichrist, right? Oh, the Antichrist. Again, thinking that it's one person. All right, thinking that it's one person. But First John, was it First John 2? 1 John 2, I think it starts at 18, I think.
Yeah, that antichrist word, man, is self-explanatory, man. As long as you're against the mission, it ain't got to be just one. To your point,
That's it, and that's exactly what First John 2, was it 18 and 19 talks about. That's exactly what it's saying. Because for the longest, we talked about Antichrist, whether it be Christendom or whatever the case may be. For the longest, it's linked it to one entity, one person, whatever the case may be. However, First John 2 says something different. Verse 8, starting in verse 18. And then, again, we'll go back to 2 Thessalonians. It says, children, it is the last hour. And as you have heard that Antichrist, singular, starts with, as you have heard that Antichrist is coming. Here we go. So now many Antichrists have come. Okay? Because all it is, it's not just it's somebody speaking against Mashiach, or it's speaking against the word of the Most High. Isn't Mashiach what? The word made what? Flesh. So you're speaking words, you're speaking against the Most High's words. You're not believing and you're speaking against it. Okay, so he says, so now many antichrists have come. Therefore, we know that it is the last hour. So it's not singular. It's not one person. It's many.
Hey, man, you went over it last week when you read Matthew 24. I think he said, many gonna come in my name saying I'm the Christ.
There it is.
And he
That's
said, don't go
exactly
there.
right.
He said, if you hear him that he in the wilderness, man, don't go over there. It's the same thing, kind of like you just read in John right there. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Many
it.
antichrist, many false
Many.
coming in the name.
That's right. Many. They're
I
gonna
mean,
have a
how else
title.
can there be? How else can there be a falling away first unless somebody there are antichrists driving the falling away?
And think about, bro, hasn't this been from the beginning? Like when we go through the scripts, I mean, how many of Yashara'al have risen up, right, and caused the people to go astray?
All the kings, look at the kings.
Kings, priests.
Yeah,
You see what I'm
yeah,
saying? Within the
yeah.
nation. So again, just
Korah's
like
rebellion.
Solomon said, ain't nothing new under the sun. Go ahead out.
Did I just say Korah's rebellion?
Say that again.
The rebellion of Korah.
There you go. You see what I'm saying? The rebellion of course. I mean, again, the kings, the priests, the elders. Like the Most High was like rebuking these people, man. He wasn't trying to hear these cats. They were rising up. They were rising up, causing the people to go astray. Going against what? The word of the Most High. That's all an Antichrist is. Because now it's you're going against the words of the Most High. You don't believe Masha. You're going completely against the words of the Most High. That's all it is. And it's not one person. It's many. We see that from the very beginning. Solomon said it. There is nothing new under the sun. Nothing. And it's still happening today. These are the enemies we're talking about. These are your enemies. And honestly, we have to be discerning to be able to recognize. We have to be discerning in order to recognize it. We have to be. Because just like we just read, again, so one, in Sirach 12, verse 14, so one that goes to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who's going to pity? You think the Most High going to have pity on you? It's not going to happen. So these are people who are willingly going against the Most High's words and the Most High's ways. Willingly. For whatever reason. And we're going to get into that as well. So let's get back to...
What does it tell us in Hebrews 10:25 to what you just mentioned?
Say that again.
What does it say in Hebrews 10:25 for what you just mentioned? He who willfully habitually keeps on sinning.
Willfully. That's it.
Ain't no sacrifice for sin.
No more.
So how you think of that as an adversary of Yah?
That's it.
Yeah.
He who sins willfully after receiving the truth, there's no more sacrifice for sins.
That's the treatment of an enemy right there.
I'm telling you, like I said, man, it's not our words. It's what we're reading in the text. It's what we're reading in the text.
We want to make things gray, but it's black and white.
It's black and white, It's black and white. And you know what? Does it sting? Absolutely. It stings because it's within. It's within.
Well, let's bring that down to earth. So does the sinner, right, being within Yashara'al, right? Once he sinned, and we don't mean to sin, but willingly sin. We've known some of the truth, but yet and still sin. Are we talking about casting those folks out?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, you don't even really have to cast out. I mean, some of you're going to have to cast out, but a lot of them they're casting their own selves out.
I get that, Mar, but the biggest thing is even sitting here listening to the conversation, we have to assume, we're always judges of ourselves. We don't willfully sin, but we do sin. Everyone on this phone call, whether you know the truth or not. But I just wanted to know where do you draw that line at?
Well, again, if the truth comes out, right? The Most High brings the truth out, whether it be through someone or whatever the case may be. You are accountable now for what you know. You are made accountable.
I
Yeah,
got a
what did it say?
question.
Willful. You just said it. Willful. Willfully.
Willful.
You're making the conscious decision.
And it's habitual. It's not. It's again. Parar is to Hebraically means to trample over the word of Yahweh.
Right.
I mean, you're willfully. It's not like I messed up today. You know what I mean?
Right.
It
Right.
is willfully, habitually sin.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
It's just right. It's a straight rejection. It's just like that's like as the word we're reading. It's a straight rebellion.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember when Trav went over it one time when we was talking. But you have sin. Where you missed the mark, you made a mistake. But you got transgression when that's who you are.
Right. So that's what this
where
is talking about.
you are a you transgressor. You
Right.
transgress. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're not talking about one who, you might mess up and this and that, whatever, here and there. We're talking about habitually and constant, like a straight rebellion against the things of the Most High. Just like, we read about in First Maccabees and how these wicked rose up and, were causing people to, to go astray and to basically conform to the ways of the Greeks. You see what I'm saying? You got something?
Basically they becoming their own Allah. So that being the case, they definitely ain't trying to do anything concerning the truth of the word of the Most High and His instructions. They say, "Bump that! I'm the Most High."
I got
You know what I'm saying?
I got two.
All right. 1 second. What she said? Yeah, it's not sinning due to ignorance. We're talking about again, just a straight rebellion against the word. So again, if you just mess up, here and there, and again, it shouldn't be a case where it becomes the same mess up all the time, right?
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean? It's a
Habitual.
a complete annihilation of the Most High's ways. You see what I'm saying? That's what we're talking about.
It's actually making the choice, knowing the truth, and then making that choice that regardless of what Yah has said for me, I'm going to choose my own way.
Right. I'm going to choose my own way. Exactly right.
Yeah, and then so you got to marry all the words though. So you got sin, missing the mark. You got transgressor, somebody who transgresses, and you got repent. So you can't if you repent, then you ain't gonna do the same thing again.
Right.
Well, which goes to that point where old boy said when Yeshua said, go and sin no more. You know what I mean? Which is
right.
Which is hard to take. Yeah, that's a hard one. He healed you and tells you that. Go ahead.
So when like what C-Love said, repent. Repent is returning back to the ways of Yah, right? So now we're talking about someone who's not going to return, and then not only that is causing others to fall as well, to fall away as well.
I got you. So where do we get to that point where it says cast? If they don't, right, cast them to Satan and allow them to carry on with their lives, and is that actually removing oneself from Yashara'al?
Well, it speaks about. I think it's in Matthew. Like, say, if you have aught with your brother, right? The steps you take to repair that aught with your brother, and then it says if he still doesn't hear you after you've gone to him yourself, then you've gone to the elders, and then you've gone to the congregation. If they still don't hear you, then he's treated basically as a heathen and a publican. And then there's another text in Titus that tells you, and this is a person who is. I can't remember the exact wording, but basically one who's kind of refusing to hear the correction or whatever the case may be, right? And even that person that tells you to leave them alone. Leave them alone. Because again, you don't want to be defiled with someone's wickedness. You don't want to be defiled with someone's rebellion, right? Because that's like who's gonna pity you at that point?
Yep. And you got to look at everything from a nation perspective.
That's it.
You gotta look at everything from a nation perspective, because you can't. It's not about the individual. It's more about Yah's protection over the nation. So, and when
There
they
you
get to
go.
a point where you a transgressor, bro, I done talked to you. I done came to you one on one. I done came to you 2 to 3. Now I done came to you as a church, and you done still folding. Now you may be in the way. You know what I'm saying? I got to get you. And there's a lot of examples of that in the text. If they don't come up and do this, separate them from the nation. If they don't do this, then separate them from the nation. All throughout the text, it gives you those
All throughout
examples,
the
and
text.
it's not because of the meanness of the individual. It's for the protection of the nation.
That's it. That's it. Yasha.
Yeah, I got a preset. This
Okay, one second. Marsha's saying something to me. What? Oh, I'm not sure yet. Go ahead,
Second Peter chapter 2. I'm gonna start at verse 12.
1 second. Let me get there with you. 2. And remember, we're not finished with 2 Thessalonians. So 2 Peter. You said which chapter?
Chapter 2.
2:12. Okay. Okay, I got you.
But these like are you ready? All right. But these like irrational animals, creatures of instinct, born to be caught and destroyed, blaspheming about matters which they are ignorant, will also be destroyed in the destruction, suffering wrong as the wage of their wrongdoing. They count it pleasure to revel in the daytime. They are blemish, reveling in their deception while they feast with you.
Mm-hmm.
They have eyes full of adultery, is sustainable for sin.
Insatiable.
They insatiable for sin. They entice unsteady souls. They have hearts trained in greed, accursed children.
Mm-hmm.
Forsaking the right way, they have gone astray. They have followed the way of Balaam, the son of Beor, who loved gain from wrongdoing, but was rebuked for his own transgression. A speechless a speechless donkey spoke with human voice and restrained the prophet's madness. These are waterless springs and mist driven by a storm. For them, the gloom of utter darkness has been reserved. For
Mm.
speaking loud boast of folly, they entice by sensual passions of the flesh those who are barely escaping from those who live in error. They promise them freedom, but they themselves are slaves of corruption.
Mm.
For whatever comes overcomes a person to that he is enslaved.
Mm.
Or if after they have escaped the defilements, so that means these people they know the way, they
There
receive
you go.
the way, and then they're coming back of the world through the knowledge of our Master and Savior Yahushua Hamashiach. They are again entangled in them and overcome. The last state has become worse than the first,
Mm.
for it would be have better that for them never to have known the way of righteousness, then after knowing it, to turn back and from the holy commandment delivered to them.
Mm.
What the true proverb says has happened to them. The dog has returned to his own vomit, and the sow, after washing herself, returns to wallow in the mire.
Ah. So these, like you said, so these are people who've known the way and just completely dismiss it. Rebellion. Just straight rebellion of the way. And now living it and causing others to come away from the things of the Most High as well. Because we obviously see that, again, go back into that Sirach, there are those that will go to a sinner and will be defiled by them, right? For whatever reasons. You know, because again, there's going to be a time, we're going to go into it, that people will no longer endure sound doctrine for whatever reasons, because maybe it doesn't fit your narrative or whatever, or fit, you know, whatever you want it to fit, or whatever the case may be. However people, you know, why people, you know, why people turn away, we don't know. For whatever reasons they turn away, they will turn away. Again, it's happened way back in the day. It's happening now. It will continue to happen until Mashiach cracks the sky. That's why we having this discussion. It's, you know what I mean? It's something that has always happened within Yashara'al. It's always happened. Right? I mean, we're talking about priests. We're talking about the elders. We're talking about, you know, all of the leaders, the kings who caused the people to go astray. These are people who had the Torah. And just knowingly rebelled and went astray. So now again, nothing new under the sun. It's the same things are happening, and people who have heartstrings or attached to these people, whether it be, you know, the family or friends or whatever, loved ones or whomever, such and such, you know, you may know these things, you may get caught up in smooth words or whatever the case may be, and find yourself right in the midst of these same things, getting caught up in their smooth words, getting caught up in twisted doctrines and this and that or whatever, and boom. And here we go. So again, it's not about just, you know, ignorantly sinning or whatever. We're talking about straight rebellion. Again, a transgressor of the instructions. Right? So let's hit, so Tada Rabbah for that. So getting back to the 2nd Thessalonians. Get back to that 2nd Thessalonians. So, reading from that 3rd verse again. Let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man or the people of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes, exalts himself against every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of the Most High, proclaiming himself to be the Most High. Do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things, and you know what is restraining him now, so that he may be revealed in his time? For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains it will do so until he is out of the way. Kaput. And then, verse 8, and then the lawless one will be revealed. Right? And we already know that, I mean, again, this is spoken about in that time. We already know that, I mean, this has been taking place for eons now, right? Whom Adonai Yahushai will kill with the breath of his mouth and bring to nothing by the appearance of his coming. So again, it's not going to be rid until Mashiach cracks the sky with the angels, right? So all this stuff's going to continue to take place till Mashiach cracks the sky with his angels. All right. And by his mouth, he's going to bring to nothing all of this stuff that Satan and the people of wickedness and all of these things are doing. Verse 9. The coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan, with all power and false signs and wonders, and with all wicked deception for those who are perishing. Okay, for those who are perishing. Okay, why are they perishing? Because they're no longer enduring sound doctrine. Because they've turned away from the Most High. That's what the rest of this is going to say. Because they turned away from the Most High. They've rejected the love of the truth, right? And that's what we're talking about. With all wicked deception for those who are perishing, because they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. Verse 11. Therefore, the Most High sends them a strong delusion so they may believe what is false, in order that all may be condemned who did not believe the truth but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Okay, so again, they didn't believe the truth. They didn't want the truth. I mean, you can look at we talk about hard sayings. Was that John in John 6, I believe. In John 6, Mashiach is speaking to the people how he was, he's going to die, and I think his body is the bread, and his blood is the wine, and all this other stuff, and he's speaking to all these people that will follow him. And I believe at the time there was about 70 people that was following him, and got to the point where it's these people said, these are hard sayings, man. We ain't trying to hear all this. And 58 of them, dipped. 58 people. We talking about following Mashiach now. This is the same person, same Mashiach, same Yashara'al who was out there performing miracles and and feeding the people and all of these things. And because of these hard sayings, and they didn't want to hear it, or whatever the case may be, they left. At that moment, they left. And he turned around to the 12 and was like, y'all gonna leave too? Y'all gonna leave too? Like, basically, like, I mean, he ain't gonna make me no never mind, but hey, you gonna get too? And now they were like, nah, man, we're not going anywhere. You have the words of life. So again, these people were following him. So here we are, because the text tells us was in John 10, those who go through the door are the shepherds of the sheep. So here we are, we trying to speak life, and we're trying to live it the best way we can. Sharing with our brethren, sharing with our loved ones, sharing with, people, basically living by, the example that the Most High has given us. But at the end of the day, life is going life. Things are going to happen. People are going to get caught up in their own ways. People are going to get caught up in their own thoughts, such and such and such, and boom, there's going to be a rebellion. And the text tells us there's going to be a rebellion's going to come first, because we're going to read it, and that people are no longer going to endure the words of the Most High. And if they were falling away back then, even here it is, the Most High was near to our people back then, much nearer, and they were still falling away, still doing what they wanted to do. Again, nothing new under the sun. So that's 2 Thessalonians 2. Let's just read some things that kind of fall under this umbrella that we just read. This rebellion that's being talked about. Where am I at? 1 Timothy 4. 1 Timothy 4, 1 and 2. First Timothy 4, 1 and 2 reads, now the Spirit expressly says that in later times some will what? Depart from the faith by devoting themselves to deceitful spirits and what? Teachings of demons. Verse 2. Through the insincerity of liars, whose consciences are seared. The Spirit, the Ruach, expressly says that in later times some will depart from the faith by devoting themselves. Again, you're linking yourselves to this stuff, to deceitful spirits and teachings of demons. Through the insincerity of liars, whose consciences are seared. Okay. 2 Timothy 4. 2 Timothy 4, verses 3 and 4. Yeah, 2 Timothy 4. 2 Timothy 4, verses 3 and 4. And, been saying this for a minute now. For the time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching. Okay? They're not going to endure the words of the Most High. They're not trying to hear it anymore. They will not endure sound teaching, but having itching ears, they will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit what? Their own passions. And we're not making it up. Time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching, but having itching ears, they will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own passions. Because the words of the most... Go ahead, Op.
We sure see that today.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. You seen it back then, you read about it, and you seen it now. Solomon was on point. He said, there ain't nothing new under the sun. He was on point with it. Right? They will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own passions and will turn away from listening to the truth and wander off into myths. Again, Psalm 119, verse 142 says, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and your law, your instruction, the Most High's instruction is what? The truth. Not a truth, it is the truth. And it says they're going to turn away and accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own passions, and they're going to turn away from listening to the truth and wander off into myths. That's the rebellion. That's the rebellion. It's got to come first. It's got to come first. All right? And so we read this one already. The 1 John 2, 18 and 19. Children, it is the last hour. And as you have heard that Antichrist is coming. So now many Antichrists have come. Many have come speaking against the words of the Most High. Many. Therefore, we know that it is the last hour. And check this out, verse 19. They went out from us. They went out from us, but they were not of us. Who's this us? Who's this us they talking about? They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have continued with us, but they went out that it might become plain that they all are not of us. Didn't Paul say not all Yashara'al is what Yashara'al? Did he not say that? If you're not in the way, if you're not carrying on in the way, right? If you're going away from the things of the Most High, I can't, come on. Look, we talk about it all the time as far as what? The northern tribe and the southern tribe, right? The Most High did away with the northern tribe because of what? Their rebellion. Their rebellion. And he did away with them. He said, you are no longer a people to me. And we thank him for his long suffering, and of course he welcomed him back. But at one point he said, you're not even a people to me anymore. And that's why the southern tribe treated them as what? An enemy. That's why there were civil wars and all the such and the whole 9 yards between the two, between the northern tribe and the southern tribe, because the northern tribe, they were enemies. They were enemies. And that's why we talk about, the good news and the gospel of the kingdom now, and what it really is, and who's it for. It's the bringing together of the enemies, and and Mashiach telling us that you're no longer enemies. Don't treat them as enemies anymore. I'm trying to bring you all together. Only go to them. Don't go to the other nations. Don't go to the Gentiles and whatever. When he sent out the disciples, don't go by way of the Gentiles, but only go to the lost sheep of the house of Yashara'al. I don't want you to be enemies anymore. Okay? But here, we're seeing who those enemies are. Those who are habitually sinning, those who have transgressed, those who have rebelled against the things of the Most High and causing others to do so as well. Causing wickedness to rise up. And in some of our people, again, we just read it in 2 Timothy, no longer enduring the things of the Most High, no longer enduring sound doctrine, accumulating for themselves, you know what I mean, teachers, to suit their own passions. This thing is real. This thing is real. And that 1 John 2, that verse 19, they went out from us. They went out from us. Okay, Psalm 35. Who's this enemy that, David talks about so much? Actually, no, Psalm 55, excuse me, real quick. Psalm 55. We'll go back to Psalm 35. But that's Psalm 55. This one hits home too. Psalm 55, 12 to 14. Again, I'm reading out of Septuagint. Psalm 55, 12 to 14. And it's 54 in the Septuagint. It reads, "For if an enemy had reproached me, I would have endured it. And if one who hated me had spoken vauntingly against me, I would have hid myself from him." Verse 13. "But you, O man, like-minded, my guide and my acquaintance, who in companionship with me sweetened our food. We walked in the house of the Most High in concord together." The ESV, I like the word in the ESV reads, says, "For it is not an enemy who taunts me, then I could bear it. It is not an adversary who deals insolently with me, then I could hide from him." Verse 13, "But it is you, a man, my equal, my companion, my familiar friend. We used to take sweet counsel together within the Most High's house. We walked in the throng." Okay, it was that familiar friend. I mean, we know who, a lot of Psalms David's referring to, what's his name? Saul. Right? You can't speak to, his household and Absalom and all that. Can't speak to that because, David brought that upon himself. Right? But Saul, who the spirit had left him. Why? Why did the spirit leave Saul? Anybody? Huh? Right? Disobedience.
He didn't listen to anything of the Most High. He wanted to do his own thing.
Rebellion. Exactly right. Straight rebellion. Okay? Most High gave him a word, gave him instructions, that whatever, and he rebelled. He did his own thing. He did what he wanted to do. The Most High said, "All right," remove his hand from him, took his spirit away from him. And what happened? What did he do? Now he want to come after, David, who's done nothing to him. Matter of fact, David was sitting here trying to help him out. Playing sweet music on the lyre for Saul. You know what I mean? To calm his spirit. And David loved the man. Couldn't understand why this man is coming after him, trying to kill him. But the spirit of the Most High was no longer with Saul because of his own rebellion. Right? Psalm 41, verse 9. I will. Psalm 41, verse 9. For even the man of my peace, in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, lifted up his heel against me. ESV says, even my close friend, in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted his heel against me. Again, this is coming from within. We have to be ever so careful. I mean, like I said, if we trust the words that the Mashiach said, even about the false prophets and things of that nature, I mean, you can apply it to anything. By their fruit you will know them. Because a lot of times, again, and I'm saying this because I'm guilty of it. Okay, I'm guilty of it. You be close with people, and you can discern some things, some things that are said, or some things that are done, and you kind of question in your head, but then you just kind of brush it off. Nah.
Fuck you. You're not guilty of it. You a victim of it.
Con. Yeah, because you know the deal. You already know. And you just, you have love in your heart, you know what I mean? And things are lovely. And you may see some things may be a little off. You may hear some things that may be a little off, but because of those heartstrings, because of those things, even though there's a discerning factor there, you just kind of just like, you just kind of brush it off to the side until you can't brush it off to the side anymore. But at that point, a lot of times it's too late. And I'm telling you right now, y'all, that hurt is that hurt is real. It's traumatic. That hurt is real. It's real. It's traumatic, and it is. I don't know. I can't even speak on it. But again, we just have to be discerning. As I always say, you can't ignore conviction. You can't ignore those things that the Most High is trying to show you. You just have to, truly make a spiritual note of it. And again, you can't ignore it. If it what's the old adage? If it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You can't keep trying to put a Band-Aid on it or suppress it, whatever the case may be. If it is what it is, then it is what it is. And you have to move accordingly. Because just like it goes back to, I'm going to continue to go back to the Sirach verse. The one who goes to a sinner and is defiled with him, and it says, who's going to pity? And not saying that we would defile and sin or whatever the case may be, but if you're in this thing and you've gotten confirmation, you've gotten, discerned some things, it's now whatever, but yet you're still in the mix because, your heart feels a certain way. You're tied in by what? Emotion. Then you get caught up. Then it's on you. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. But let's go here real quick. John 15, 18 to 25. And, I'm just here, like I said, anybody got to listen to me. I'm just here. And I believe the Most High just has me here to just kind of open up our minds and make us think, because we've been so dumbed down, and we've been told what to think and how to think and all of these things, and what this is and what that is. And I truly believe the Most High is just truly trying to open that back up, that critical thinking aspect, so that we're not so naive and not so gullible about certain things. So that's really, that's what this is really about. And so that we don't get caught up, because one thing I already say, Hashatan is very, very subtle. He's very subtle. And before you know it, you're caught up in some mess that, you're like, man, how did I get here? How did I get here? And those, and being in these, these earth suits, I mean, it's easy to get caught up in emotion. It's very easy to get caught up in emotion. I always say the Most High ain't dealing with emotions, man. He's not. He's your spirit. He's not dealing with emotions. I mean, we get it. Mashiach was here. He understands the things that we go through. But even Mashiach in his, in an emotional state, didn't stay there, right? He didn't stay there. He says, "Not my will, your will be done." Not my will, your will be done. So that's what we got to be. So John 15. Yeah, John 15, starting at verse 18. We're going to read 18 through 25. John 15, 18 through 25. It reads, and this is Mashiach's red letter. And actually, I preface this by saying, questioning hatred of the world. I said, what world? I said, what world is that? All right, and we're going to see it. John 15, 18 to 25. If the world hates you, if the world hates you, yes, know that it has hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love you as its own. But because you are not of the world, right? The Most High has chosen you. Because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world. Okay. Therefore, the world hates you. Right? And we know who did the Most High, because remember, Mashiach is speaking the words of the Most High. Who do we know who the Most High chose, right? So because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Okay? Verse 20. And again, that goes back to what even Mashiach spoke about in the signs of the end. But this goes a little bit deeper. Verse 20. Remember the word that I said to you. A servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they kept my word, they will also keep yours. Verse 21. But all these things they will do to you on account of my name, because they do not know him who sent me. Okay? So they don't know the Father, right? All these things they will do to you on account of my name, because they do not know him who sent me. They don't know the Father. Verse 22. If I had not come and spoken to them, okay, here we go. If I had not come and spoken to them, they would not have been guilty of sin. Okay. So now who Mashiach said he came for? Verse 20, if I had not come and spoken to them, they would not have been guilty of sin. But now they have no excuse for their what? Sin. All right. Verse 23, whoever hates me hates my Father also. Verse 24, if I had not done among them the works that no one else did, they would not be guilty of sin. But now they have seen and hated both me and my Father. Verse 25. Check this out. But the word that is written in their law must be fulfilled. But the word that is written in their law. So he's talking about this world, right, that hates you. Again, it's not the rest of the world. He's talking about this is the enemy within. Those who transgress. Those who turn away. Those who rebel against the Father. They don't know the Father. They don't know him. If they're rebelling, they don't know him. Right? So verse 25. But the word that is written in their law must be fulfilled. They hated me without a cause. And that's where that Psalm 35:19 comes in. They hated me without a cause. And Psalm 35 verse 19 says, let not them that are my enemies without a cause rejoice against me. Okay? It's quoting Psalm 35 verse 19. Okay, and then it goes on to say, verse 20, Psalm 35, for to me they spoke peaceably, but imagined deceits in their anger. So again, this is coming from within. This is Mashiach talking about if the world hates you, and now we're seeing that this world is the enemy within. This is why we have to be discerning, because if not, you get caught up. I'm telling you, the enemy is subtle. Your emotional state. If we don't learn to kind of shake that off and discern, you will get caught up. Because ain't nobody thinking that the person close to them or whatever this person I deal with the whole is oh, not this person. But again, we're talking about those who habitually sin, those who rebel against the Most High, those who have had the words of the Most High, in whatever capacity you've had it, and you just constantly rebelling. You're just constantly transgressing, constantly going against the things of the Most High. And one thing I'm, and this is me, this is Myron speaking, that I can say is, we can say, oh, this person has never heard it, or this person has never been privy to it, this, and that, whatever. I beg to differ. Because at a point, I didn't think people that I knew, okay, I didn't think that they knew anything about the truth. And come to find out, they knew 2 years prior to us being awake. I had no idea. Had no idea. As a matter of fact, when the Most High was using us to share certain things, they were looking at us like we had 3 heads. We had no idea that they even knew anything about it, but yet 2 years prior to us, coming out of slumber, they had already known this stuff. And not just knew it, but was a part of it. Going to fellowships, learning the whole 9 yards. So they knew. So don't ever think that someone doesn't know. Don't ever think. Okay? Because just like Mashiach said in the signs of the end, this good news, this gospel shall be preached throughout all of the world, and then the end will come. So don't be naive to think that people don't know, or have never heard, or have never experienced. Like I said, lived it. 2 years prior to us coming out of slumber, come to find out the whole time they knew the truth, were part of it, learning the whole 9 yards. So that's, like I said, this is where it gets dicey. And I believe this is where a lot of people kind of, really get, wrapped around that axle and oh man, this is family. Oh man, this is friends. Oh man, this is this is that, this and that, whatever. I can't, I got to still stay linked. I got to do, hey, all we can do is put it out there, right? That's all we're doing. We're just reading the scripts. I'm not making my own interpretation. I'm not coming from my own soul. We're just reading the scripts. Okay? All I can say is be careful. Be careful. Because those who you think may not know anything about this, or I'm telling you right now, like I said, the text tells us plainly, Mashiach said it, this gospel shall be preached throughout all the world, and then the end will come. And there's another text, again, that tells you that they will know that a prophet has been amongst them. They will know. So when we talk about rebellion and the whole 9 yards, again, what did we just read in 2 Thessalonians? Okay, the Most High is going to send them what? Strong delusion to believe a lie. Why? Because they rejected the love of the truth. They rejected it. And also says, I think, and was that scripture in Hosea as well, right? It speaks about the knowledge. Was that scripture? Is it Hosea? I can't remember. Because you reject knowledge, I will reject you from being my sons and daughters. Something like that. It says. It'll come back to me. But
Hosea,
anyway, say that again. Up.
Hosea 4:6.
There you go. I knew it. I knew it was Hosea. Hosea 4:6. Yeah, read that. Read that real quick.
Hold on.
My joint is jacked up. I can't even get to it. Anybody else's Bible app tripping? Mine is tripping.
There's an update that's happening right now. With some
That's
of
what
them.
they doing?
Yeah, with some of them. I got it. Mine just updated. This is Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because they have rejected knowledge. I reject you from being a priest to me, since you have forgotten the law of your power. I also will forget your children.
Right. So basically, rejection of knowledge, rejection of the truth, rejection of it. That's the rebellion. And so, just like we just read in that John 15, this world that hates you is those that have rejected and have rebelled against the love of the truth. And it talks about how, when they persecute you, they're gonna think they're doing the Most High service. Matter of fact, let's go there. John 16. John 16.
Just like Paul did.
There you go. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay. And Paul, who is a what? Yashara'al, was sitting there standing by holding the coats of those who were stoning who? Stephen, who was also what? Yashara'al. Thinking that he's doing service of the Most High.
And what Stephen say, man? Which one of our forefathers y'all not been killed?
That's it. That's it. John 16, 1-4 reads, I have said all these things to you. Look what Mashiach is saying, man. Come on, man. I have said all these things to you to keep you from falling away. I said all these things to you to keep you from falling away. They will put you out of the synagogues, I say assemblies of the congregation. Okay. They will put you out of the assemblies. Indeed, the hour is coming when whoever kills you will think he is offering service to the Most High. Whoever kills you will think he is offering service to the Most High. So we're talking about Yashara'al. We're talking about within Yashara'al. Okay. Verse 3. And they will do these things because they have not known the Father nor me. Because they have not known the Father. Right? We talk about was that the parable of the seed and the sower, right? Not everybody's heart is receptive, man. Not everybody's heart is fertile. And you're gonna see fruit. You're gonna see fruit, man. You're gonna see fruit. But are you gonna be discerning of that fruit? That's the thing. They will do these things because they have not known the Father nor me. But I have said these things to you that when their hour comes, you may remember that I told them to you. He said, I told you these things to keep you from falling away. Man. Again, it says, whoever kills you will think he is offering service to the Most High, right? Verse 3, it says, and they will do these things because they have not known the Father nor me. So let's jump from that. Let's jump to Matthew 7, 21 to 23. Matthew 7, 21 to 23. I'm going to go quick because I don't want to prolong the time. You know me, I like to be in 2 hours and I'm out. Pow. Matthew 7, 21 to 23. From what we just read, whoever kills you think he's offering service to the Most High, and they will do these things because they have not known the Father nor me. So Matthew 7, 21, 23 reads, not everyone who says to me, Adonai, Adonai, Master, Master, will enter the kingdom of Shemayim, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in Shemayim. On that day, many will say to me, Adonai, Adonai, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name? And then will I declare to them, I never knew you. Right? He says, they will do these things because they have not known the Father nor me. Right? It's like, yo, I never knew you. Depart from me, you worker of what? Lawlessness. Where did we see that word before? The worker of lawlessness. And where did we see that before? Where did we see that before? Was it 2 Thessalonians? Yeah, I think it was 2 Thessalonians. But that man of lawlessness or those people of lawlessness? Not making it up. We're just reading the scripts. You workers of lawlessness, those who are not keeping the law. You had it, but you dropped the ball and rejected it. And now you are lawless. Okay, again, this is within. This is within. Okay, and here it is, the hard truths. The hard truths, y'all. Matthew 10, 34 to 39. The hard truths that nobody wants to, people have to go over their heads for whatever reason. Like I said, I get it. There's heartstrings, is this not whatever, or how can this be, or that will never happen, this not. Yo, it happens. This is what it is. So the times we're living in, this is what we're living. This is the walk. This is the journey. This is what it is. And we have to either accept it or not. And those who don't accept it, do what? Rebel and walk away. Just like we just talked about in John 6. They walked away. 58 people in one fell swoop. Boom. And they walked away from Mashiach. How much more you? Mashiach's here. He's teaching us the ways of righteousness, how to fulfill the law, how to fulfill the instructions of the Most High, teaching us these things, showing us how to be the Melchizedek in the earth, all of these things. Showing our people, trying to bring, Yashara'al together, the two houses. Performing miracles, like showing you, it's clear. But yet they were able to walk away from him. So these are the hard truths, y'all. These are the hard truths. And it just is what it is. Not my words. It's the words of Mashiach. Matthew 10, 34 to 39. Matter of fact, hold up. I think I missed something. Did I miss it? Let me see. John 16. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. I think I missed it. Oh well. Guess it wasn't supposed to come out. All right. Oh well. All right. So Matthew 10, 34 to 39. Hard truths. Do not think that I have come to bring shalom to the Aratas. Do not think that I have come to bring peace on the earth or to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. I have not come to bring shalom, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a person's enemies will be those of his own household. Now he's talking about immediate households here and things like that, but he's also talking about within the nation. He's talking also within the nation. He himself said, a man is not without honor, but only within his own country and around his own countrymen. If I'm not mistaken. Okay, so basically, that man is going to be honorable, outside of his nation or whatever, but within his own nation, around his own countrymen, he is not going to be honored. These are the words of Mashiach. He says this. So now he's bringing hard truths. Verse 36, and a person's enemies will be those of his own household or his own nation. Verse 37, whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me, and whoever does not take his burden and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. And again, he's not just making that up or whatever. He's getting that from somewhere. He's getting that from Torah. Let's go to Micah 7. He's getting that from the Torah. Micah 7. And I'm just going to read. The emphasis is on verse 6, of course, basically, because that's what he just spoke about. But we're going to read verses 1 through 6 to get the whole context. And the subheading under it is Yashara'al's great misery. All right. So as I always speak about, the consequences of disobedience. This is what comes with it. The consequences of disobedience. It's hard. These are hard sayings, y'all. They're not comfortable, but it is what it is. But because it's not comfortable, I'm just going to be like, you know what? Bump this, man. I'm going to just go back in the world to take my chances. Nah. I don't, I think I played Russian roulette once and I didn't like it. And I'm not going to play Russian roulette with my life. Just not going to do that. So Yashara'al, so the subheading is Yashara'al's great misery. So Mashiach is getting this from here. Micah 7, starting at verse 1. It says, alas for me, for I am become as one gathering straw in harvest, and as one gathering great gleanings in the vintage, when there is no cluster for me to eat the first ripe fruit. Alas, my soul. So basically, I'm just working in vain, right? Verse 2. For the godly is perished from the Arataz, from the earth, and there is none among men that orders his way aright. They all quarrel even to blood. They grievously afflict everyone his neighbor. Verse 3. They prepare their hands for mischief. The prince asks a reward, and the judge speaks flattering words. It is the desire of their soul. So not one, right? Verse 4. Therefore, I will take away their goods as a devouring moth, and as one who acts by a rigid rule in a day of visitation. Woe, woe, your times of vengeance are come. Now shall be their lamentations. Verse 5. Trust not in friends and confide not in guides. Beware of your wife so as not to commit anything to her. Verse 6 is what we came for. For the son dishonors his father. The daughter will rise up against her mother. The daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Those in his house shall be all a man's enemies. Again, he didn't just make it up. He didn't just come from anywhere. This is coming from the Torah. So these are hard truths. These are hard sayings. You know, they're from within. And again, it's not just because these are the consequences. I know, the text calls them curses or whatever, but it's the consequences of disobedience. Always go back to like Deuteronomy 28 and all of these things. The Most High warned what would happen if we disobey. He warned what would happen if you wanted what the heathen had. Just like he warned what would happen if you garnered to yourself a king when he was already your king. He warned. Those were the consequences that would take place. And now, because of that, because our forefathers, dropped the ball, here we are in the consequences of disobedience. And this is where we are as a people. And there's some of our people that are wicked. I mean, the text alludes to it. But a lot of these enemies that we think are outside are within. And we have to be ever discerning. Ever discerning that there are people of Yashara'al, enemies within, that are straight rebelling against the word of the Most High. Don't want to hear it, not going to do it. Not going to live it. And what is that old adage? Misery loves company. They want you to join too. And if you're not careful, if your emotions are too drawn to them or whatever, or you get caught up, you will get caught up. It just is what it is. I mean, again, nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun. So I'm gonna yield with that. It's 155. I'm gonna yield with that. It's a lot. Like I said, it took a lot out of me. But it just is what it is. It's something that we have to be mindful of constantly. If we want to work worthy of the Father, we just have to be diligent in discerning and be vigilant. Again, head on the swivel. Head on the swivel. Head on the swivel. We have to be protectors of the sheep. So, here we are trying to protect the sheep, just like Mashiach said. Was that in that John 16, verse 1? I have said all these things to you to keep you from falling away. He's not trying to get us to fall away. I'm trying to warn you, he's telling you. I'm trying to let you know, just like the Most High was doing way back when. I'm trying to let you know, man. But you desire disobedience, so here you go. Anyway, yeah, I'm yield with that. Anyone got anything to add? Any questions, comments, concerns? Anything? It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to schmooze over. Nada. Nothing. No one got nothing, man. Okay. No one got nothing, man. All right, family. So we're gonna go ahead and close out in prayer. Christian Trav, y'all not on today, right? The study there is day one study tomorrow. Danny. Again, as I always say, we got fresh manna. And again, family, just again, head on the swivel. Just be mindful of the things of the Most High. As I always pray that Most High will just inhabit our thoughts. And help us to take captive every vain, idle thought, and anything that's not of Him, and remove it far from us. Just keep us aware. And again, be diligent and keep yourselves aware as well. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and close out. Oh, praises. All hearts and minds are clear. Barak Hashem Yahweh Malak wa Olam. Bless you, Father, Yahweh, King forever. Abba Yanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Chodash Haya, Shemka Yahweh, Mamalak wa Ka, Taba'a, Taz wa Ka, Aisha Barataz Kawahaya Washamayam Natana Noa Lacham Kayoma Salachnoa Kawab of Noa Kasalachnoa Kawab Yanawa Wala Atabi Anawa Banasiyawan Bala Washanawa Manrai Kailaka Malaka Wat Waha Allah Waha Tabaraf La Iwalam. Our Father which is in Shemayim, Wada, set apart is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on our ties, on earth as it is in Shemayim. Give us bread all day. Forgive us our debt, we forgive our debtors. Give us not over to destruction or trial, Abiyah, but deliver us from all things dysfunctional. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Father, we truly thank you for this time in fellowship. Thank you for all that has transpired. We pray that every word of our mouth and meditation of our heart is continually acceptable in your sight. For you are our strength and you are our Redeemer, Abiyah. So we always pray, Father, pray that you will just inhabit our thoughts, Father, inhabit our hearts, our minds, Father. Teach us to take captive every thought, Father, anything that is trying to exalt itself over your knowledge, Father, and to bring it under subjection of your righteousness, of your ways, of your word, Father. Again, we continue to pray for Yashara'al, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that your sheep will hear your voice and come before you, Father, laying all things naked and bare before you, returning unto the covenant, Father, returning to the ways of righteousness, returning to your ways that you have given us from the foundation of the earth, Father, that we may be that salt and light that you have called us to be even now in the earth. We thank you for Mashiach Yahushai, for his death, his burial, his resurrection, his example of how to be those righteous priests in the earth, Father, to lead the sheep and those that will yoke themselves, Father, in the right way, Father. And I pray again that, just as he was that banner, to have men drawn unto you, Father, I pray that we also could be a banner to have men drawn unto you as well, Father. And I pray again for this, the gathering of the tribes, Father, the gathering of Yashara'al, that we may with one voice, Father, glorify you, magnify you, and exalt you, Father, in all the earth, Father, and that the earth will once again know that the name of Yahweh is greatly to be praised, Father. So we thank you. We pray each today, Father, again, as we go about our individual lives, Father, again, that we are just diligent, Father, and just vigilant to just press toward the mark of the high calling in Mashiach, Father, that we're just diligent to just seek after you, Father, while you may be found, and to call upon you while you are near. Again, we give you praise, honor, and glory in your most holy name, and for Mashiach Yahushai. Hallelujah. Wa aman. Praise. All praise, family. All right, family, love y'all. Pray everyone has a beautiful day in the Most High, family. Love y'all. Shalom, shalom.